Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stuart Kay. I'm an associate with WSP, and I've been invited along today to give you a perspective from a CIHT reviewer. I've been reviewing EngTech and iEng for approximately 10 years. I've been with CIHT since 2002 and became a fellow in 2015. For those of you interested in road safety audit, I was the chair of SORSA between 2015 and 2017, and this makes me sound really old, that I've been 38 years in the industry overall, and that's been across contracting, highway maintenance, highway design, and for the last 25 years in the private sector, covering road safety engineering, road safety audit, operational safety, which is for road workers and road users, operational road risk, and more recently, safety by design. So I've moved into CDM. So that's me. So why go for EngTech? It's awarded by CIHT. You get a professional title after your name. You're registered with Engineering Council, and everything matches with the UK spec. I'll go on to that a little bit later. So the status of EngTech, you get that by demonstrating the required standards of your competence and commitment, and you can do that by training, education, and work experience. Again, I'll go on to that a little later in the presentation. The benefits of being EngTech is that you're evaluated by your professional peers, those that have been through the process, those that have the knowledge and experience. So you get the chance to demonstrate your knowledge, experience, and your commitment to the profession to your peers. It elevates your status. Not quite convinced about the third one, earning power, but if you have a professional qualification, it will enhance your career. You're able to develop your network. Greg's mentioned LinkedIn. It will enhance your career opportunities as well. So the UK spec. This is freely available to download from the Engineering Council website, and every grade of membership, or every grade, sorry, of professional qualification is assessed against the UK spec, be that chartered, incorporated, or engineering technician. And within those, you have 4 generic competences, which is your knowledge and understanding, and that's basic general principles, design and development, how you've used those engineering principles, a more general your level of responsibility, management and leadership. Obviously, that differs between the different levels. Your communication and interpersonal skills, that comes through both in your portfolio and in the interview. What changes? The standards are the same and the requirements are the same. The only thing that changes is the context between the grades. So between CEng, iEng, and EngTech, the context changes. We do not expect somebody at EngTech level to be acting as a chartered engineer, for example. They're different roles, responsibilities, and level of engagement in a project with clients and with your colleagues. And the last one is professional commitment. And that is your commitment to the likes of health and safety, CIHT itself, and the overall profession, including your CPD and your annual appraisals, etc. CIHT specialisms, there's not a big play on this within EngTech, but it's important to recognize where you fit in the industry. So if you're heavily focused on transport planning, then if you tick that box to say that you work in transport planning, you will be matched with appropriate reviewers who have that background, who have that experience. So you're not going to get somebody with materials and geotechnics doing a transport planning review. So this enables CIHT to match you with the most appropriate reviewers. So when you're filling in your application or when you're thinking about going through the EngTech process, have a think about where you sit in terms of specialisms and focus your evidence on that specialism itself. So the underpinning knowledge, I mentioned UK spec. But before you get to UK spec, sorry, you've got the baseline academic qualifications that you need to have. So that is a level 3 or level 6 qualification, the BTEC or HNC, a level 4 diploma in asphalt and aggregate technology activities, as well as 3 years experience in a relevant role. You need that 3 years experience to demonstrate how you've used those qualifications and your experience to enable you to get to that EngTech level. So to get started, everything's online. So you complete an initial assessment. It takes less than 5 minutes to complete. You fill in basic details. You upload your qualification details, your CV, and you then get that initial assessment as to whether you meet the requirements for EngTech. And Greg will send out a very polite letter explaining the route, what you need to do, and the various links to the CIHT website to get you started. So getting started is often the hardest part. Once you've got started and you're on that road to becoming professionally qualified, everything falls into place. The hardest part is getting started and convincing yourself you're ready. The professional review is an interview, 2 parts. So you've got your portfolio of evidence, which I'll go on to, and the 2 guys will elaborate on that, and your attendance at a professional review. They go hand in hand. You are not assessed on your portfolio and then on your interview. They are assessed both together. Those are the different parts of the application process. So your underpinning knowledge and the personal information. So that's your qualifications about you, your current employment, your sponsors. Your sponsors are very important. Your sponsors need to know the EngTech process, the content of your portfolio, and they need to be confident that you meet the requirements. Your CV, to give a short history of your experience to date, the organisation chart of where you sit within your own organisation, copies of your academic qualifications, a couple of paragraphs on your presentation outline, which isn't onerous, by the way, for those of you who aren't used to giving presentations, your CPD records. Now, for CPD, that isn't onerous either. Everyone thinks CPD is formal courses and getting certificates and qualifications. CPD can cover a whole range of things and can even include activities outside of work. So say you have a hobby and you're a leader, or you've got organizational skills for a hobby or an activity that you're doing outside work. That's CPD. It doesn't necessarily have to be industry related. Development plans and your professional development plan and your SWOT analysis gives the reviewers an idea of where you are and where you want to be and how you plan to get there. And the SWOT analysis gives us an idea of where you think your strengths and weaknesses are, and what you think your opportunities and indeed what the threats are, not only to you, but the industry, the profession, your specialism, for example. Now, if I can get this to work, right? Okay, this is a knowledge and experience tool that you can use, and this helps track where you are in terms of each competence. So for knowledge and understanding, so reviewing and selecting the appropriate techniques. Then you've got examples of the type of thing you could be doing from UK Spec, or what UK Spec will look for in a person. Then it's down to you. The last two columns are down to you. The first one, what this means to me in my role, specialism, and career. That is how you've applied that, how you've done that, what you've learned from it, and then your evidence. The last column is evidence, examples of how you've done this. Evidence is key. And Joe and Katherine will go on to evidence in the portfolio and the appendices that you add in. My advice to you is start gathering that evidence now. Even if you're not ready to go for your review just yet, start gathering that evidence now. Have a separate folder for the different competences, because it may be a year or two down the line, and who knows, the project folders could have been archived or you've lost that information. So keep a separate log and a separate copy of your evidence, so that's easier to gather and easier to include in your portfolio. So there's a table for each of these. So your knowledge and understanding, all of these are taken from UK Spec. So when you look at UK Spec for EngTech, this is what they're asking for that particular competence. And then you've got to demonstrate how you've applied that, how you meet that requirement, and evidence of that. So I won't go through all of them. Greg, is it possible to, is this freely available on the website?
Yes, if you go to the EngTech page of our website, at the very bottom, you'll see a list of resources where you can download this document.
Okay, so the recommendation is then that you download that document and you use this as a reference, and you keep this as a tracker to enable you to demonstrate you've met the requirements. So if I go back to the presentation, sorry, this is a bit clunky, but so to give a little bit more context, for using your engineering knowledge and understanding to apply technical practical skills, there's a list of evidence that you could provide in your tracker, and as well as your explanation. And this presentation includes all five. So all five evidences and competencies. So knowledge of design and construction materials, your knowledge of specifications. It's not just knowledge of it, it's why you've used it, how you've applied it, and what you understand. We're not expecting you to be experts. We're just expecting you to be aware of what you've done and why. For design and development, there's a big long list on there. So again, the evidence, engineering drawings, your desktop studies, it doesn't need to be the whole report. It can be an extract from it. It can be an appendix from it. It can be calculations from it. Doesn't need to be the whole document. And that's just some examples of what you could be involved in, depending on your specialism. You don't need to necessarily comply with them all. It's specifically related to your specialism. Again, the more personal one of you as a person, minutes of meetings, whether you've taken them, site surveys, it's how you've communicated and how you've interacted with your peers, your colleagues, clients, and your understanding of a project and understanding of the industry that you're in. Communication, that often comes out through your portfolio. A well-written portfolio is preferred, obviously. And we try and put you at your ease for the interview. I've got a slide on that at the end. So it's understanding how you interact, your level of confidence, not competence, confidence, to be able to interact, document, present even. And the last one was personal commitment. This demonstrates your commitment to the industry as a whole. Now, health and safety, I'll issue the warning now that if you cannot demonstrate competence to work in a safe and responsible manner and understand to which acts and guidance that you work to, that is an instant fail for any grade, whether it's CEng, iEng or EngTech. Working safely underpins everything else. So you can include that in your CPD record. You can include risk assessments, method statements, not necessarily to have done them, but to be involved in their preparation and their development, and just have a general understanding and awareness of your responsibilities under health and safety. Now, as well as that, working to CIHT's Code of Conduct, your legal obligations, and aware of environmental management systems. We'll explore sustainability and ethics as well. It doesn't need to be onerous. You don't need to be an expert. I keep saying that. You don't need to be an expert. One of the biggest things we look for in EngTech is potential. And can you demonstrate that potential and your enthusiasm for the industry? The review itself, so once you've submitted your portfolio, it's then assessed. Your reviewers then get a copy of that portfolio and are asked to review that to see that it meets the requirements, that there are no showstoppers as such, and then you are invited for interview. So your interview is 45 minutes to an hour at the most. We begin with a 5 to 10 minute presentation of your career. So that's just outlining your CV and how you've arrived at where you are. But before we do all that, as a reviewer, if this was face to face, we'd introduce ourselves, we'd get you settled down, we'd make sure you were comfortable, get you a drink if you need one, and we'll start when you're ready, not when we're ready. And it's the same online. We need to make sure that you're comfortable, you're prepared, and you're ready. We will ask questions on all aspects of your portfolio. It could be anything and everything, from your SWOT analysis to your CPD to the evidence that you've provided. So please know the content of your portfolio. If you don't know, just tell us you don't know and we'll move on. We're not there to catch you out. We are there to help, encourage, and get you through the process. And it turns into a conversation rather than a questions and answers. Joe and Katherine will testify to that. I did Joe's review and it turned into a conversation. It wasn't me asking a question, Joe answering it. It led on to different questions and different subjects, and it turned into a conversation, and that conversation picked up a lot of things about the other competencies, about CPD, and if you're knowledgeable and you know your portfolio, there shouldn't be a problem. So all I'll say is good luck. That was a whistle-stop tour of the process. and I'll hand over to Joe.
Right. So hello everyone. My name's Joe Burlison. I'm just here to discuss my experience of the application process. I'm just going to speak about why I wanted the qualification and how it's benefited my career now that I've got it, and also any tips that I can help you with along the way. So just a bit of overview of my career so far. I'm a senior highway designer at iTransport, which are a specialist independent transport planning consultancy. I've nearly got 10 years professional experience now. Primarily produce feasibility level designs to support clients in achieving planning permission across a variety of land uses, designing a variety of highway schemes as well. And I recently gained my EngTech in November last year, and now looking forwards to my iEng, hopefully. So just a quick slide on why I actually chose to go for this professional qualification. The first part is I wanted to be industry recognised, not just for me, but also the company as well. You know, I wanted to show credibility as a designer and gaining client confidence. I wanted to set an example to others who haven't yet got the qualification. Obviously, this being a good start, but also people within my company. I know a couple who are in this webinar today, and it'd be good to share my knowledge with them. Also looking to my mentor who at the company who went down this path. I've seen a lot from him and how well he's done since gaining the EngTech. He's now going on to his iEng, and it just made me want to strive to do the same thing. And then just overall, just yes, personal progression, obviously. Keep repeating it, sorry, but iEng, you know, that is my end goal. I can then hopefully go on to chartered as well. So, and like Stuart said, this is, you know, it's all about progression. EngTech's the start. So, yeah. Now, sorry, there's a bit of crossover here because I know Stuart just went over this in great detail, but I just wanted to pick up on it. Obviously, the UK spec, you know, it just explains the requirements that people must meet and demonstrate to be registered as an engineering technician. I think what Stuart said as well with the tool that you can use, I couldn't stress to use it enough. You know, it's a great tick box exercise. You know, have I got these examples? Have I met this competence? And it's really easy set out, especially within like just here with, you know, the first column telling you what the competence is, how you need to demonstrate it, and then as Stu went over the examples in meeting that competence. And I think it's really useful, especially the tool with just ticking off what examples that you've got. Moving on to mentoring and mock reviews. So at iTransport, I'm fortunate to have a mentor who went down that same path as me through my whole application process. It's very useful. I believe you can, if you haven't got a mentor, you can request this via CIHT. I'm sure Greg can point you in the right direction if needs be. Following on from this, I did a mock review, and I did this with 2 senior people at my company, which was very daunting at first, but it helped massively. I think if you can get a mock review in before your professional review, I couldn't stress it enough. It's so important. It just takes the edge off when coming to do it. The real thing, you know, with on the spot questions, it just helps you prepare for that, for the real thing. Moving on to the opening presentation, another tip, you know, I believe you have to do a short verbal summary of your career, up to 10 minutes. I chose to do a full presentation. And similar to Stuart, what he said, you know, I think it's just rather than just having a conversation, you know, it's less dull. You've got something up on the screen. That helps with the nerves, I believe, as well. Once I did my presentation, I felt much more comfortable and at ease, and you know, went into like a conversation, and it just flowed nicely. The opening presentation as well, you know, with the online application form, I don't know if any of you have had a look at it yet, but there is word counts and it is very limited. I struggled with it when I was doing my application forms, and I just think this opening presentation, you can, you can use things that are in your application, but in here and cover them points before the review begins, and stuff that you couldn't cover in your application because of the word count. And some of the slides that I used was just, covering my career, my role, my skills, training, key achievements and projects, and just why I wanted the qualification. And here's just a couple of my slides, like I said, with my training skills. So it wasn't a lot, but I think it just helped. Just another one, just with the project experience and just my role within my company. So moving on to CIHT Learn, I think Greg picked up on this at the beginning. Again, apologies for any crossover. Yeah, the CIHT Learn area on the website, it has multiple webinars, online modules and courses. Like Greg said, it's free access to members and some of low-cost online training courses. But the good thing about it, quite recently, they have now mapped the modules to the UK spec competencies to help you develop your knowledge. So I've got a link there, but I don't know if it'll work. So just in case, I took a screenshot if you can see this. So this is a screenshot, and each one of these links, so these are all like the courses and the webinars, and then underneath that it does specify what competence that comes under. So again, you could go back to your, the tick box, and you can say that I've learned this, or I've done a course on this, and again goes on to CPD, which I'll pick up later. But I think that's really useful. I used quite a few of the webinars through my process as well. Moving on to your appendices. So they're a good way to supplement points made within a limited word count, like I said previously. I think personally, there's only 50 pages in total, so I would suggest quality over quantity. Now, I don't know what Stuart thinks of this, but when I was going through the process, I thought to myself, the reviewers are going to be reading your application form, very text heavy. I would be more inclined to go down the images and screenshots and drawings, just so they're not just reading full on reports and stuff. You can put report pages in there and stuff, but I would choose to do key extracts rather than the full thing. The majority of mine were drawings, and yeah, I don't know what Stuart thinks, like I said, but that was my understanding of it. I wanted to put something in there which is not just lots of text. Yeah, your CPD. So I believe for your CPD for EngTech, you need 25 hours. I think that's per year. And similar to Stuart in his presentation, keep record of this. Add to it as you are going along. It's so easy to forget. And then, months down the line, you're trying to figure out, you're trying to get up to them hours and you can't remember what you've done. And I think it's just very important to just keep it as you're going along. Variety is very good. I mean, I work in, design, but I had consultant-based CPD records on mine. I think it just shows that you want to learn more and it can broaden your knowledge. And similar to the previous presentation, you can add anything to this. It doesn't need to be necessarily industry related. And I believe, yeah, CIHT again does have a tool online to plan and record CPD. I think this is in the CIHT Learn section again. So moving on to professional behaviour or professional commitment. The one thing I'd say through my application, my review, the actual review itself, I would expect the unexpected. Not all questions are going to be about your design or whatever your field may be, your specialism. Make sure to keep up to date with health and safety documents. Make sure you're familiar with the codes of conduct, CIHT and the Engineering Council. And then Health and Safety Act at work and the CDM regulations 2015. I would strongly recommend that you have a look at these, and like Stuart said, you don't need to be fully familiar with it, but you just have a knowledge of it, and try and pick them up, because that's really key. I got asked quite a few things on that, but yeah, make sure it's not just all about design. And then just finishing off, just how has it benefited my career to date? So like I said previously, I am now industry recognised. demonstrating competence in the field and providing credibility to my expertise among clients, employees and peers. It enhances my reputation and trust, my ability to deliver high quality work. Career advancement, you know, it does open opportunities. I've now got that on my CV. More responsibility with work and more confidence in the work that I'm producing. Since gaining that, I've got a lot more confidence now. Future aspirations, like I said, I'm now starting to look at what I need to do to get my eye edge, and what I've already started looking at the examples that I need to do and what paths I need to take. And yeah, so that's a key one. And then finally, just, you know, it just signifies commitment to upholding industry standards to others, which I think is crucial in the evolving field of highway design. And yeah, if you have any questions, put them in the chat and I'll try and answer it best I can. I'll just pass it over to Katherine.
Okie doke. So my name is Katherine Downes and I'm a civil engineer and I work for Amy. So a little introduction to me and my career to date. So I have over 11 years experience within the industry. I started my career at Arup in 2012 as a civil engineering apprentice, and I've worked on a variety of site development and infrastructure projects and completed both my BTEC and HNC in civil engineering there. So in the following 7 years that I worked there, I progressed to assistant technician. In December 2019, I joined Amy as a senior technician on their traffic projects team, where I worked alongside a team of highways and traffic engineers, where we implement traffic management measures on the public highway. We design and improve cycle and pedestrian routes on key networks. And we introduce traffic signs and road markings for various schemes. And as you can see on the slide there, this is one of the schemes that I've been involved with, and that is the Strand, the Liverpool City Centre Connectivity Scheme, which we actually won a CIHT award for. And that is a regeneration scheme to improve connectivity for pedestrians and cyclists across the city. So since joining Amy, I have gained my EngTech status, and I was also recognised for outstanding performance at professional review. I've progressed to civil engineer and I'm currently going into my final year of my part-time BEng in civil engineering. Alongside this, I'm also a social value lead in the Liverpool office and an active STEM ambassador. So why did I choose to pursue EngTech status? So first and foremost, I wanted to be recognised within my field. I wanted colleagues and clients as well to come to me for advice and knowledge. I wanted to help junior staff and basically give back to them. So as I mentioned earlier, I started my career as an apprentice. So I wanted to give back similar support to the support I've received earlier on in my career. Also, it's a way of encouraging others in the office to also pursue professional registration, because when one person starts, other people kind of follow suit. Also, for me, it was a massive intrinsic motivation. It was a personal goal for me to pursue a professional qualification. And alongside that, it was a challenge. And I felt like at that time when I was applying for my EngTech, I'd kind of hit a brick wall in my career. So for me, it was a boost that I needed, and of course, letters after your name. So my route to EngTech and the application process. So when I started Amy, I was advised to join the CIHT as it aligned better and was more specific to my role in traffic projects. As such, I started working towards my EngTech qualification, filling in the application form and gathering evidence, etc. So from my experience, here's some pointers that I'd like to pass on, really. The application form, it is important, of the most importance, that you follow the UK spec when completing each objective. Also, there's a CIHT supplementary guidance for EngTech applicants that is extremely useful, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So when filling in each objective that covers the 4 generic competencies, I used a project and as an example that will fulfill that objective criteria. I think I found that a lot easier to answer the questions that was asked of me by doing that method by using a project. And also I gathered and saved evidence for each project to support my answers. And these could be drawings, schedules, risk assessments, etc. But there's a full list, or there's a list of examples which are given in the CIHT supplementary guidance that I mentioned earlier. If you have a look at that, it gives you great examples as to what you can complement your answers with. And also, as Joseph mentioned, this was a place to put all this evidence you could add to your appendices later on. Also, as Stuart mentioned earlier, it is really important to save along the way, and I'm sure everyone's been in this position where you've come back to work and it's disappeared, or it's been moved, or it's been archived. If you're going to talk about a project as one of your objectives, make sure you save along the way, because you know it could be, you know, that information or example may be lost later, and you'll suffer. Sorry. So other focuses, and this is the professional commitments. I routinely, and I still do, I keep a CPD log, which is up to date. And for EngTech, as mentioned previously by others, it's 12 months or 25 hours. And if you're stuck, there's plenty of learning resources online on the CIHT website that you can access, like the Learn courses or the webinars, etc. And again, keep on track of that, because you'll get to a point where if you haven't been doing it, you've got a big bulk load of events or learning that you have to kind of gather at once, and it can be really quite tedious. Whereas if you just, I mean, after say today's session, just log it today, that's done. Also, following on from Stuart's comments, understanding health and safety and CDM, that is massively important. You need to really have an understanding of your duties and really demonstrate that in your application, because no doubt you will be asked about that at interview. Also codes of conduct, etc. And STEM activities, things like that, which I'll talk about in the next slide. So, oops, have I gone past now? Oh, have I not been clicking? Bear with me. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, right, interview. So I was successful at application and progressed to interview. And as part of your interview, you are required to do a short verbal summary of your career to date, which is around about 10 minutes. And then a discussion will follow. And that can be anything to do with your portfolio and some knowledge questions. And as Stuart said, it's not designed to catch you out. This is also an opportunity for you to talk about other projects that you're really proud of, that you can include at this point, which you weren't able to include in your application, perhaps because the word count. So yeah, for my presentation, I kept my presentation punchy. I kept it technical and visual, and this is to catch the assessor's eye, but also keep them interested. I mean, there's nothing worse than going to or watching a presentation that's just full of words, and you don't know what to do. Are you reading or are you listening to the person talking? So for me, keep it punchy, visual, etc. And where possible, vary your examples. Again, this will keep your assessor interested in what you're trying to, get across, really. And as you can see, these are some examples taken from my presentation, and it shows variety. So I've got a plan, I've got a standard detail, and also some photographs from site visits that I'd undertaken. And going back to STEM, which I've mentioned on the previous slide, another big talking point during my discussion was my involvement with social value and acting as a volunteer for the Prince's Trust. Now that I as Stuart mentions, it turns into a conversation. I did actually have quite a brief conversation about my involvement, and this is something that I'd advise someone to get involved with, definitely some volunteering or a social value, or just some events like that, because it really does stand out to the assessors, and it's definitely on mine anyway. And again, following from Joe's comments earlier, get a mock review sorted, a mock interview, because it'll help with answering questions and help with confidence also. So to wrap it up, how has gaining EngTech status helped my career? Industry specific qualification, we've all said it. I'm recognised now for my knowledge in this field, with colleagues coming to me for advice on traffic project specific queries, and also, as I said, as a wanted client as well. This has also improved my influence within the company in Amy. It's raised my profile within the organisation. I've gained more exposure, and also I've received praise from senior colleagues, and even has a personal message from a managing director at Amy as well. And it's not just, hasn't been limited to Amy, my success after gaining the EngTech. I have been able to, I've been lucky enough to be asked to provide a case study for the Engineering Council. I've done write-ups for the CIHT promoting women in engineering. I've done question and answers as well. And as you can imagine, since gaining EngTech, it's really improved my confidence, because before I started Amy, my confidence was really quite low and I felt like I was underachieving, etc. So I've also had, obviously, the benefit of progressing my career too. I've progressed from senior technician to civil engineer, and I've had a number of pay rises along the way, along with a bonus on receiving my EngTech. And it has no doubt boosted my career online and my CV, and I've had like companies approaching me. So finally, gaining EngTech doesn't have to end there. It can be seen as a stepping stone to the next qualification.